The Secrets of Stargate is brought to you by the StarQuest Production Network and is made possible by our many generous patrons. If you'd like to support the podcast, please visit sqpn.com/give.
You're listening to The Secrets of Stargate, Episode 6.
Lieutenant West, Jackson has identified the seventh symbol.
All right, here we go. We are about to try to make a connection.
All we gotta do is bust out of here, commandeer the ship, and fly on home.
Indeed. You say that a lot.
I know that this could be dangerous. But this is our job, right? It's what we signed on to do.
It was never about going home. It's about getting us to where we're going.
Hi, I'm Jack Barazzini, and you're listening to The Secrets of Stargate, where we talk about the hidden meanings and deeper layers found in the Stargate movies, series, and more. Joining me today are Father Cory Stika. Hi, Father.
How's it going, Jack?
Going well. And Victor Lambs. Hey, Victor.
Hi, Jack.
All right, today we are discussing the 6th episode of the first season of Stargate SG-1, called The First Commandment. We open with two members of SG-9, Lawrence Connor and Lieutenant Thomas Frakes, who I wonder if that is a reference to Thomas Riker and Jonathan Frakes. They're being chased through a forest by the natives of the planet. Frakes is killed and Connor is captured. SG-1 is sent through the Stargate to find SG-9. They find Lieutenant Terrence, who tells them that Captain Jonas Hansen, who happens to be Samantha Carter's former fiancé, has set himself up as a god to the natives of the planet and is forcing them to build a temple to honor him. They plan on taking Jonas captive, but Samantha, after seeing a native being brutally beaten by one of SG-9 soldiers, goes and confronts Jonas, who tells her that he is the people's god. They discover an ancient gold device designed to keep out the planet's harmful radiation that Jonas is planning to use to cement the people's belief in him as a god. Jack and Teal'c are captured. Jonas plans to execute Jack and Connor by sending them back through the Stargate without sending a signal to open the iris, but Teal'c and Daniel are able to activate the second device in the pair necessary to create the force field that will keep out the sun's harmful radiation. After Daniel proves this, the people of the planet turn on Jonas and they throw him through the iris. And yeah, splat.
Splat. Yeah.
Exactly.
So starting at the ending there, have we established yet in the continuity of the show that like every member of SG-1 has a GDO which transmits the radio codes to open the iris? Don't know if we have yet or not.
I don't think we have yet. I think there's always been one member of the team that has one.
Gotcha. So it's not canon that Dr. Jackson has one of these and could have at any time opened the iris to keep Jonas from going splat on the other side.
Pretty much.
I'm just wondering because I'm putting together a list of like 10 times that Dr. Jackson was a sociopath, and already over the last 2 episodes, I think we're approaching 10.
2 episodes?
Yeah,
2 episodes. I was gonna say Emancipation had a couple of points too.
Yeah.
Last week he was not doing too hot either.
No.
Yeah, he gets better. And with this episode, the show gets better over last week as well.
Oh, definitely. I really liked this episode, and I guess that might also just be grading on a curve based on the previous 2, but I did like how it immediately felt like they were going for an Apocalypse Now kind of vibe. Mm-hmm. Like you got them jumping into the forest, they got like the headbands on and everything, and then Jonas is essentially the Marlon Brando character from Apocalypse Now with his delusions of grandeur.
Well, it's interesting that, of course, the SG teams, their job is to fight the Goa'uld, who set themselves up as false gods because of their ego. And what does this guy do? He sets himself up as a god because of his ego.
Yeah, they almost could have called this episode Stargate Into Darkness because of the obvious reference to Heart of Darkness and, of course, Apocalypse Now. But, so a lot of interesting stuff in this episode. It was Robert C. Cooper's first episode as a writer, and he wasn't on the staff as a writer. I think he wrote this, I don't know, on spec or something, but they liked it and hired him on after this, and he eventually became showrunner of this, and then Atlantis and SGU. So you can definitely see his fingerprints on this episode even early on. There's a lot of really good situational humor. The quality of the writing's pretty good. The humor's not just quippy; it's more, there's actually some funny comedic moments in it as well.
I really like that part where Jack tells Teal'c to smile.
Yeah,
he just like kind of bares his teeth. Yeah.
Well, when SG-1 went in through came out through the gate, and they mentioned about how the forest looked familiar. And I even wrote down like that first scene. So because I was gone last week, so I watched Broken Divide and this one back to back. It's like, boy, this looks like the same exact forest, the same exact place where Broken Divide was filmed. And sure enough, as they come out, it's, wow, they must like the same kind of planets. Well, they terraformed them all basically the same. They said the Goa'uld. I think we know later it's the Ancients is what they say. Is what it ends up being, but it's like they all terraformed them all the same exact way. Gee, wonder why they all happen to look like British Columbia. Oh yeah, because they are.
Right. It is funny that they kind of just jump right out and just hang a lantern on that. Like, we know everything looks the same. We can work that into the story.
And Robert C. Cooper, incidentally, is the writer who gave us the Ancients. That wasn't in the show Bible until he wrote it. And there is some speculation online that the orange bubble machines are of ancient design, although that's just headcanon, I think.
I think there's a lot of the idea that the Goa'ulds aren't just parasites as far as taking over human beings, but also that they don't produce their own technology. All the technology they have came from the Ancients, because of course we think that for quite a while we think that the Stargates actually were developed by the Goa'uld, but they weren't. They were ancient technology that was stolen by the Goa'uld or repurposed by the Goa'uld would be a better way to put it. And so it makes sense that a lot of the other technology that we will see later will end up being Goa'uld acquired ancient technology.
Yeah, just kind of, even with the fact that the cultures they adopt are all based off of human mythology, they don't really seem to be a species that creates anything of their own. They just kind of take parts from everything else and absorb it and twist it to their own purpose.
Oh, there's a lot I like in this episode. We get to see Roger Cross as either Lieutenant Connor or Captain Connor. I think he is Captain, yeah. And he's a great actor from all the shows that I like. Continuum, Dark Matter, Arrow, Eureka. He's been on pretty much them all, so it was kind of cool to see him. Earlier on in his career.
Yeah, I recognized him from the X-Files. I think he plays like 3 or 4 different characters in that show over the course of its run. Yeah,
he was also in 24. Had a couple of major roles in 24 too, as well.
Oh, nice.
So
yeah, and then we get Jonas Hansen, Samantha Carter's ex-fiance, who is also a psychopath. So
unnecessary to make. I mean, it's completely unnecessary to make him her ex-fiance. I mean, it's a level of they haven't really figured out what they're doing with Captain Carter yet.
I think it has an issue with. I feel like they felt like they had to relate her back to the male characters in the story rather than just having her stand on her own at this point. And so I guess that's why they did that. But you could have told the exact same story without them having that connection, because other than him just being kind of vaguely creepy, it doesn't really come up.
And it is kind of frustrating because she is a strong character, and they do very much develop her character much more strongly, much better. But she's supposed to be this strong, fighter jock, karate master, weapons master, goes weak-kneed when trying to kill off the guy who's trying to be the false god.
Right. So yeah, she confronts him after. So she goes. They're planning on some way to rescue Connor from Jonas because Connor's been captured in the night, and they're planning this out. And she sees one of the natives of the planet getting brutally beaten by one of the members of SG-9. So she goes and stops it, knowing she's gonna be captured. And they bring her to him, and he does his whole pompous monologuing supervillain speech about how he's the chosen one and he's going to guide these people. And then she has the opportunity to shoot him. And they do that thing they do almost every single time you get a scene like this where he's like, do it. And then he just takes the gun out of her hand and she doesn't do it. There's only one time I can think of in a show where they play that kind of scene and they actually have the character go through and shoot the person. It's in Battlestar Galactica, that episode with the crime scene underground where Lee Adama ends up shooting the mafia boss. But
I can remember other scenes where they've done that, and of course it was played out. It was supposed to. It was the twist on on this where you're not going to do it. You don't have the guts. Boom. But those are pretty rare because that is very much a Hollywood trope of you don't have the guts to look me in the eyes and shoot me.
And I get obviously shooting someone is not a good thing and not to be taken lightly, but when that person holds your life and the lives of your team members and then all these people on the planet in your hands, you could at least just shoot them in the leg or something.
That's what I was thinking too. Yeah,
I don't know. That's kind of a big debate right now about whether or not you should shoot in the leg because it's got a lot of vital areas there that you can bleed out very easily. But that's a whole nother discussion for a whole nother. But there are ways that you could do it. I mean, frankly, you just don't use a gun. You find hand to hand or something. Again, she's supposed to be trained in like hand to hand and all that kind of stuff. Which again, the Air Force generally isn't. If you're not special forces, you're generally not trained in that kind of stuff. But that's another story.
Because they even have that later on in the episode. I think she like karate kicks the gun out of someone's hand. So I feel like they played too heavily on her mixed emotions.
Yeah, that whole like I was the wounded bird you couldn't heal type thing, I think was a little overplayed. I did find myself sympathizing a little bit with Jonas in this episode. We haven't mentioned it, but there is a extreme radiation, solar radiation on this planet, which makes staying out in the sun for more than a little while potentially deadly. And when SG-9 appears on this planet, the civilization's basically heading for a collapse. There's not enough resources. People are living in limited cave space, and he didn't know obviously about the Goa'uld/ancient device when they arrived, but now it's his plan to turn it on and give them a shot at survival and building their civilization, although the way he goes about it is all wrong. But you do sympathize with him that he is creating a great people.
He's just nuts.
Yeah.
He's nuts, yeah. And the religious language in this episode too is spread on a little thick. It's like a Stephen King character or something.
I appreciated his scenery chewing. I always like it when an actor takes a role like that and just completely goes with it. That was fun. But I agree. I felt like the religious, like they were trying to do some sort of religious parallels. Like at one point, Daniel brings up the story of Isaac and Abraham and completely misexplains it.
Well, and to the point of Abraham was the father of all the people. And it's like, no, he was the father of the Israelite nation. That's a subset of all the people.
Yeah, the religious language in this is a lot like, when you're watching a thriller movie and someone's like, oh no, they're hacking the mainframe. Let's throw up another firewall. To a technical person that makes you cringe. And to, the religious level was very much on that level of writing. Religious.
I did like Jack in the it's somewhere in here. I think it's the first commandment. You shall have no gods before me. No, I meant the one about don't kill.
Yeah, that was it did redeem the episode there. Lots of good humorous moments in this one as well. But
the fact that they pulled a lot of Bible quotes, and I mean, I didn't go back and look them up or anything like that, but I'm sure obviously they're way out of context to begin with, and they were picked to fit crazy characters' delusion. But at the same time, I really wonder how many of them were actually legitimately quoted Bible quotes and not just spliced together. Let's take a little of this and a little of that and call it good.
Well, no one's ever done that before in real life either, so
no, not at all.
Very C.S. Lewis, his Jonas's quote near the end, where he's justifying his actions. All along, I've been looking for God, and here I am, which is pretty much the Age of Enlightenment in a nutshell. There, modern man is looking for God and only finds himself.
It did actually make me think of I would like to see a Stargate show or something similar about missionaries going through the Stargates and evangelizing people. That'd be cool.
You get that on Babylon 5, but not necessarily here. Yeah,
that is kind of the tough part, of course, is that most of these science fiction shows, of course, are very secular. Even when they do bring up religion, they do it from a position where they don't understand it well. Because obviously I doubt Stargate had a minister or a priest or somebody like that on staff for this episode to try to say, here's how somebody who's Christian would go off the deep end and think they're God. Right. I strongly doubt they had something like that. And that does make it tough because I often wonder where a lot of these science fiction series, and Stargate wasn't quite so bad compared to some as far as being secular, especially some we have today where it's almost like religion is a joke. And Babylon 5 was a great one, actually. Despite being written by an avowed militant atheist, he really was, very sympathetic to portraying religion in a good way.
Yeah, they have the monks that go live on the space station at one point in that show. Yeah. That, or I feel like Firefly does something more interesting with a religious character where he's not just a one-dimensional, Bible thumper. And it felt like the religious stuff was almost, they just took it and they're like, all right, he's got delusions of grandeur, so therefore he's going to carry around a Bible and quote it, but then very clearly not really actually care about it or understand it. And I think if they were going to do it that way, they should have shown him being more cynical about it, because they didn't really establish that firmly, that he was just using it as a means to his own end rather than if he actually believed it or not.
Kind of got the feeling they tried to portray him as like he had been a Christian of some sort. And the reason why he had the Bible in the first place, because he was trying to figure it out, if you will. And then of course, he goes out the deep end and immediately says, oh, this is really about me.
No, definitely. And I feel like they took the subplot between him and Samantha, and that kind of became the main focus of his character arc, was their relationship to each other and him being damaged and her having this need to help damaged people or fix damaged people rather than exploring his megalomania more. I also found it interesting, and of course this is just down to, the cost of production and stuff, but you have this planet that has horrible radiation that causes your skin to burn, but all that greenery looks completely fine. And then the people, they seem very haphazard with how they're covering up. Like, they're not completely covering up, and some people are just walking around perfectly fine. Like, Teal'c's got his bald head out there, no issues at all.
Well, we know the symbiote protects Teal'c, so.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the Cyberman designs in this one. Those helmets that the people were wearing, they look like the original Mondas Cybermen.
Yeah.
Actually,
yeah, they kind of the kind of clay. See, I thought they were more like Incan or Aztec type masks. Where they're meant to be very primitive. Something that is a cover, but it's not. Although we only see it at the beginning, and then we don't see him again. I mean, we see him at first, and then they never show up again in the rest of the episode. Yeah, and I can't remember. They hung a lantern too on the fact that the plant life survived. There's something about that particular plant life that could handle the UV light better than the people could. But again, that was just another one of those. Let's kind of hang a lantern and then whatever. There's trees, fine, whatever. We're not going to be around the trees, so it doesn't matter.
Right. She mentions at the beginning, Samantha mentions that she does not hear any birds singing. I liked the visual at the end when Jonas is going to throw Jack and Connor through the Stargate, it lying down like that, having the swoosh come up vertically. Yeah. That was cool to see.
I don't know if this is probably an obvious parallel here, but at the end, the savior of the people is, killed by the people he's saving,
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. But
throw 'em in.
Yeah. Lots of, like I mentioned, lots of great humor in there. We even get some MRE humor, where it's this tastes like chicken. What's the problem with that? It's macaroni and cheese.
Well, MRE, meals ready to eat. That's 3 lies in one.
Nice.
Yeah.
The funny part is there are certain MREs, as I understand it, I've only had a couple ever, that are actually pretty good. Like the actual food that's in them. But of course, they're designed to be shelf stable for years. And they're designed to give you one meal a day to give you enough nutrition to survive that day, but you're not going to be happy about it. So they're not high cuisine by any stretch of the imagination. But every once in a while you hear of, this particular one is actually pretty good, or that particular one is actually worth, if you can, and of course they open up a box and they just throw it down there. Okay, you guys get your food. And you get to pick through if you're lucky. If not, they just start handing out and you get whichever random one you want, and you start trading entrees. It's like school.
Yeah. We had some when I was in Boy Scouts. We got some one time for a hike we were doing. I always liked that self-heating bag they had in there. I thought that was cool. Yeah.
In Air Force, the only time we absolutely had to do it was at basic training. We did one day, which was the they call it the confidence course, but it's an obstacle course, like you can think of, swing on the ropes and climb over the walls and stuff like that. And we'd had to do, for our lunch, we did an MRE. And so then they did that where they just brought out the boxes and started passing them out.
Talk about confidence.
Yeah. But it's just, and again, it was, Air Force is not trained for a lot of these, type of missions. So at least you're going to experience what an MRE is like. You might never eat one again officially in the Air Force, but at least you got one out there.
So Air Force training doesn't cover blow darts or blowguns, because Jack seemed pretty handy with one.
Yeah, I know.
When they're rescuing Connor.
Believe me, same thing with any kind of weapons, because unless you're special forces, you really don't learn how to, fire any kind of firearms. So, I mean, you get some, but not to that, not to the level. And that's always been the joke about, Air Force versus the other branches doing Stargate. Like, again, Broke a Divide, where you had the Marines there, and it's like, the Marines probably are the ones who should have been going in there with the heavy artillery, not the Air Force.
Oh, and we learned Teal'c has a skill here too. Not he can draw. When he shows the drawing of the valley to Jamala, it's good drawing. Thank you. Another one of those nice grace notes. Yeah,
that was a good one. It's the simplistic stick drawing, and he appreciates it. I also thought it was interesting that when Samantha is trying to troubleshoot the force field device, she's got the from Earth multimeter and she's poking it. I'm like, well, it's a good thing that this thing runs on electricity and also the same voltages that we can pick up with our multimeters.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, good old fluke multimeter that anybody who's ever done electric work knows, that bright yellow multimeter. And she's learned enough. Well, she figured it out that it runs on the same principle as the Stargate, so she figured out she should be okay. So
we haven't gotten the multicolored crystals that you pull out of the drawer and reorder to make
hook your laptop off to
reorder them to make it do whatever you want. Yeah.
Nice.
They definitely get a lot more complex with how the how everything's hooked together and how it all runs and everything. They definitely develop a lot of that soon, actually, not that far out before we start getting a lot more of the more techie details of Stargates and stuff like that.
Torment of Tantalus coming up very soon. There's a lot of that. Yep.
Nice. Yeah, I think this one also just did a good job developing the characters, giving them different things to do. I feel like Daniel Jackson really got the short end of the stick with this episode, though, still, with in terms of things to do and character development. He was just kind of there.
I do get kind of the feeling that at the beginning they really didn't know what, because I mean, the only reason why he was there was to find his wife. And so he was just kind of tagging along for, whatever reason as part of it. But they really didn't develop that character to the level of, and that they do eventually. And part of that might have been Michael Shank's just uncomfortableness of having to emulate James Spader, because he really felt like he had to be the same character instead of developing the character, as we've talked about before. So I did like where the three of them are up there and Jack's off scouting out, and she decides she's going to go, and they're trying to stop her. And of course she takes off. Daniel turns the tilt because we should have stopped her. We would have failed.
Yeah, that was good. Yeah, Richard Dean Anderson definitely took the character of Jack O'Neill and made it his own right off the bat. And even just thinking about how he is in the movie with Kurt Russell, I don't think I could go back and watch the movie and view it the same way now, because Richard Dean Anderson really is that character.
Does it say Colonel somewhere on my uniform?
Exactly. Of course, the most relatable character for me in this episode is Frakes. Right at the beginning, he drops the remote, which, as someone who frequently drops, remote controls and stuff, I find that very relatable. Yeah. I don't wind up shot and burned for it, but
yeah, exactly.
Not yet.
Depends on how mad you make the rest of the family for doing it.
This is why they have the wrist strap on the Wii remote.
Yes,
they saw this episode and decided, hey, we don't want that to happen.
Well, no, actually, the reason why they got the wrist strap on the Wii remote is because people threw it through their TVs. But it wasn't this episode. Trust me.
Yeah, definitely. Just watching this makes me, and I don't know if I'm sure that some stuff like this will come up later on, but I just want to know what happens if you try to put two Stargates together or stick a Stargate through a Stargate and different things like that. Just wondering what would happen.
I can't remember if they did something like that. There was some stuff with Stargates and looping and things like that, but I don't remember if they ever did anything like a point a Stargate at another Stargate and see what it does.
They did some of that with like a Stargate in one of the Ori super gates to keep it dial out and create a blast or something to keep it engaged or something. And
that's right.
And the whole gate bridge too, where they overrode. Well, we'll get to that and stuff.
That's a little different. That's in
Yeah.
Atlantis. That's a little different. But the idea, I forgot about the Ori. So the Ori is like season 9, season 10.
Yes,
towards the very end of the series, and they have super gates where it's actually like these massive space-based gates that they can fly ships through. They're really cool.
Oh, nice. That's pretty awesome. I'm looking forward to that. I've been going around on the Stargate wiki and just reading about all the lore and the tech, and I like the design of the gold ships a lot. The pyramid shape. And at my church, they're actually building a columbarium outside the church where they can put the ashes of people's urns, and it looks like a gold ship. It's a big golden pyramid thing with these black ridges coming off the side, and so every time I drive past that now, I'm like, oh, there's the gold ship at church.
I don't know. Is your priest pastor's eyes glowed when you made him mad?
I'll have to check. Yeah. The deacon does have this weird thing on his forehead. So
there you go. Weird gold symbol.
Yeah. So, Father Cory, did you have anything else to add?
I thought there was something here. One thing I got a kick out of that, of course, they're in a rock quarry, and I immediately wrote down, I didn't think this was Doctor Who. If you ever watched, for those who haven't watched Doctor Who, especially back in the old classic Who, they loved to use rock quarries, generally gravel quarries, to film. Like any kind of alien planet was always a gravel quarry because it was cheapest for the BBC to go do it in spot. But you could find different angles to make it look very alien, and of course color stuff and like things like that. And then speaking of reusing footage or using the same area, there's a scene where Teal'c blasts the staff into the tree. It was the same exact scene from Broca Divide. The same exact staff blast.
Oh, nice.
They just reused the same footage of the tree exploding from the staff.
I did notice also how they neatly sidestepped having to film any sort of special effects for the end by having them all go through the gate while you're seeing it from the point of view of the people on the planet. So all they had to do was like put some shimmering lights on them, and there you go.
Yeah. Towards as you get further on in the show, there's fewer and fewer scenes of them actually stepping through the gate. You'll see them like walk towards the ramp, and then suddenly they're on the planet just because of the cost of the lighting and stuff and the effects whenever you turn on the gate.
Yeah, and again, they'll do it's easy to do the little flickering lights from off camera, and so you'll see the flickering lights, and then you'll hear the sound of them stepping through, and that'll be it. You won't even see like less and less. You'll see the little wormhole travel scene where they're flying through the stars and all that. Eventually, they just stop doing that.
Oh yeah, nice.
It's pretty quick, actually.
Yeah, I don't even think I don't remember if they used it in this episode or not.
No, I don't remember seeing it either. No.
What about you, Victor?
I think it's a good solid episode. I think some of the writing was a little clunky, but it brought Robert C. Cooper into the show, and great things happened as a result of that, for sure. Jack, did you want to mention that there's some Stargate news actually this past week as well?
Oh yeah, that is right. They have there's apparently talks going on for Stargate revival. I know Amanda Tapping has mentioned that she has been approached for that. And I think Michael Shanks actually a couple months ago said the same thing, that he's been in talks too. So it looks like something might be happening. Will be good for us. We'll have more and more to talk about.
There's also rumors that Christopher Judge and Richard Dean Anderson are both on board, even like in a small part, if not as regular. So we don't know if this is going to be, we don't know anything about this. This is all rumors and with some confirmation that something is in the works. A Stargate series taking up from where it's left off. It's not a reboot, is in the works. It's not going to be SG-1 Part 2. It's not going to be anything like that. It's probably, but I have a feeling at a minimum the characters from SG-1 will be showing up. It'll probably be a new team or something.
Right, at least as like a handoff kind of thing.
Yeah, maybe they'll do where the Stargate is known by the world, and now they've got the Stargate terminal. There's a episode where it's future. What year? Do you remember, Victor, what year that was?
It was all the way in the far off year of 2010.
Yeah.
Nice.
Aliens come to Earth, and Stargate is revealed to the world, and now you've got like an actual, it looks like an airport terminal where people can jump in the gate instead of being underground.
Yeah.
So maybe that's what it'll be. It'll be that in the future that Stargates are known and people are traveling from planet to planet openly.
Stargate tourism.
There you go. I'd sign up.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Well, before we go, we'd like to take a moment to thank our patrons who make it possible for us to create Secrets of Stargate, including Jeremiah N., Irnunez R., Paul O., David M., and Michael V. Their generous donations at sqpn.com/give make it possible for us to continue the Secrets of Stargate and all the shows at StarQuest. You can join them by visiting sqpn.com/give. Be sure to follow the show in Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher, TuneIn, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or on the SQPN YouTube channel. To find previous episodes of Secret of Stargate and to send feedback, please visit sqpn.com/Stargate. You can email us at stargate@sqpn.com or follow StarQuest on social media at facebook.com/StarQuestMedia or on Twitter at SQPN. You can also join the StarQuest fan club mailing list by texting StarQuest to 6686. Send StarQuest to 6686. We'll be back next time when we'll be discussing the next episode of SG-1, Cold Lazarus. Until then, Father Cory, thank you for joining me and sharing the Secrets of Stargate.
Thanks, Jack.
And Victor Lambs, thank you as well.
Thanks, Jack. Now I'm off to see the wizard.
And once again, I'm Jack Barazzini. Thank you for listening to the Secrets of Stargate on StarQuest.
Anyway, I'm sorry, but that just happens to be how I feel about it. What do you think?